Throughout history, political power isn't just wielded by generals and politicians. Sometimes it's influenced by unexpected individuals who emerge from obscurity to stand at the very center of events. Grigori Rasputin was one of those people. Born in 1869 in the small Siberian village of Rasputin grew up thousands of kilometers from the heart of the Russian Empire. He wasn't educated in elite schools, nor was he born into nobility. He came from a simple peasant family, spending his youth working the land. Yet, this man would develop a reputation that would carry him from the fields of Siberia into the gilded halls of Imperial Russia. During his early adulthood, Rasputin experienced what many describe as a profound spiritual transformation. He embarked on journeys across Russia as a wandering religious pilgrim. These pilgrimages were a common practice in the Russian Orthodox tradition, with believers visiting monasteries and holy sites to seek spiritual enlightenment. Rasputin presented himself as a man of deep faith, one who had experienced divine visions and gained unique spiritual insight. His intense personality and unconventional behavior made him stand out. To some, he was a holy man, a staryots. To others, he was a fraud, but whatever people thought, they listened to him. By the early 1900s, Rasputin's travels had led him to St. Petersburg, the glittering capital of the Russian Empire. At this time, Russia was under the rule of Tsar Nicholas II and the Romanov Dynasty. But the empire was trembling. Political unrest, severe economic inequality, and widespread public dissatisfaction were creating immense pressure on the imperial court. Amidst this turmoil, the royal family faced a deeply personal crisis. The Tsar and his wife, Empress Alexandra, had a son and heir to the throne, Alexei, but the young Tsarevich suffered from hemophilia, a dangerous genetic disorder that prevented his blood from clotting properly. Even a minor cut or bruise could become a life-threatening emergency. This illness was a state secret, but within the palace walls, it caused constant fear and anxiety for the imperial family. It was during this period of desperation that Rasputin was introduced to the Tsar and Empress through religious connections at court. What happened next would cement his place in history. According to multiple historical accounts, Rasputin seemed to have a remarkable ability to calm the young prince during his bleeding episodes. In situations where doctors were helpless, Rasputin's presence appeared to have a stabilizing effect. How did he do it? Historians continue to debate this question. Some suggest that Rasputin simply helped the child remain calm, which lowered his stress levels and naturally slowed the bleeding. Others propose that he may have advised the doctors to stop using certain medications, like aspirin, which we now know can worsen hemophilia. Whatever the true explanation, the result was undeniable to Empress Alexandra. She became convinced that Rasputin possessed a unique, God-given power to save her son. From that moment on, Rasputin gained unprecedented access to the royal family. This privileged access soon translated into political influence. As the Russian Empire lurched towards the First World War, Rasputin became an increasingly controversial figure in the capital. Rumors began to swirl about his lifestyle, his behavior, and the extraordinary power he seemed to hold over the empress. Members of the Russian nobility grew deeply suspicious. Many believed Rasputin was a charlatan, skillfully manipulating a desperate mother and her husband. Others feared that his very presence was tarnishing the reputation of the monarchy itself. Newspapers, political rivals, and aristocratic circles began to paint a picture of Rasputin as a sinister figure, a puppet master controlling the throne from the shadows. Whether these accusations were entirely true is still debated by historians, but in politics, perception can often be as powerful as reality. By 1914, the Russian Empire was on the brink of one of the most destructive periods in its history. The outbreak of the First World War placed an unbearable strain on the country. Military losses were catastrophic, the economy faltered, and public anger reached a boiling point. During this critical time, Tsar Nicholas II made the fateful decision to leave the capital and personally command the army at the front. This left Empress Alexandra in charge of many government affairs in St. Petersburg. And because Alexandra placed her unwavering trust in Rasputin, his advice began to carry enormous weight in political matters. This situation infuriated the political elites. Too many nobles and officials. Rasputin had become the living symbol of everything they believed was wrong with the government. They saw a peasant mystic meddling in imperial policy while the country was collapsing under the weight of a devastating war. Eventually, a group of aristocrats decided that to save the monarchy, they had to remove Rasputin. In December 1916, conspirators led by Prince Felix Yusupov lured Rasputin to a palace in St. Petersburg. Their plan was straightforward: eliminate the man they believed was corrupting the empire from within. What exactly happened that night has become the stuff of legend. The popular story, repeated in countless books and films, is a dramatic tale of survival. Rasputin was supposedly poisoned, shot multiple times, and beaten. Yet he clung to life with inhuman tenacity. Historians point out that these details were likely exaggerated over time by the conspirators to make their actions seem more heroic. What is certain is that on the night of December 30th, 1916, Grigori Rasputin was killed. His body was later found in the icy waters of the Neva River. But his death did not save the Russian monarchy. In fact, it was too late. Just a few months later, in early 1917, the Russian Revolution exploded across the country. Mass protests, military mutinies, and political chaos forced Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate the throne. The Romanov dynasty, which had ruled Russia for over 300 years, came to a sudden and violent end. Looking back, Rasputin's story is more than just the biography of a controversial man. It reflects the deep instability of an empire on the verge of collapse. In times of crisis, societies often look for simple explanations, sometimes focusing their fears and frustrations on a single person, turning them into a symbol for much deeper problems. Rasputin became that symbol. To some, he was a manipulative opportunist who masterfully exploited the fears of a vulnerable royal family. To others, he was a genuine religious mystic who was simply caught in the political storm of a dying empire. What remains undeniable is the sheer improbability of his journey. A peasant from a remote Siberian village managed to reach the inner circle of one of the most powerful dynasties in the world. Few figures in history have ever traveled such a vast distance, both socially and politically. Today, more than a century later, the story of Rasputin continues to fascinate us. It sits uncomfortably between historical fact and sensational legend, and perhaps that is why it endures. Because Rasputin's life is a powerful reminder that history is not always shaped by grand institutions and powerful governments. Sometimes, it is profoundly altered by unexpected individuals whose influence swells in moments of great uncertainty. And in the final, desperate years of the Russian Empire, few individuals embodied that uncertainty more completely than Grigori Rasputin. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into history's most compelling figures.